Hello and welcome back. My name is Juditha, and on this channel, we talk about all things mindset. We talk about your goals, your dreams, your fears, your insecurities, all those things that go on in your mind when you're trying to create your dream life. Because I'm doing the same thing, so I get it. Okay. So today we are going to talk about something that I feel like is very, very important because a lot of us, we have these goals, we have these dreams, and the thing is, they stay that way because most of us don't understand that, okay, you can have this goal, but you also have to become the person who can achieve that goal. So that's what this video is going to be about: the person your goals require you to be. Because your actions, when you're doing anything, like, it's super important, yes, for your actions to also be in alignment with the goal, but that's not the only thing that has to be in alignment. You also have to make sure that your mindset is in alignment with the person that your goal requires you to be. So, for example, a few years ago, when I started my first business with my best friend, the thing about it is, it was very, very hard for us to be disciplined. It was hard for us to be consistent because even though we had the goal, like we had a goal that we wanted to be entrepreneurs and we wanted to start this business, we just weren't those people yet, right? So in the beginning, it was very hard to make ourselves do the work. It was very hard to stay consistent. It was just hard to do a lot of the things that we needed to do in order to even have this business in the first place. And looking back now, I can see it was because we weren't thinking like entrepreneurs. We were still thinking like who we were before we came up with the business idea. So when we were stuck in that identity, in the identity of I don't really know how, of I'm trying, of I'm kind of committed to this, like when we were still in that identity, our actions aligned with that, right? So that is a big lesson that I took from that first business. We had to develop, like, gradually we had to develop the characteristics of what a successful business owner would do, right? And that came with time. It came with lessons. It came with us trying things that did work and didn't work. And as I became a better entrepreneur and time went by, I learned that what it actually takes to be an entrepreneur, to have a business, it takes resilience, it takes courage, it takes your ability to focus on solutions more than you do your problems. Like, this is the mindset that I started to recognize in a lot of the successful people that I was listening to on YouTube, on podcasts, like that this is what they all had in common. And I didn't have to figure that out either. Like, that's exactly what they would tell you. Like, you listen to any type of motivational video from someone who is successful, and they always say that you have to work on your mindset, right? So that was a number one thing that we started to do, that I have been doing, is working on my mindset. I look at, this is my goal, so who does my goal require me to be when it comes to my mindset? How would that person think? How resilient do I have to be? How confident do I have to be? And then every day, that is my goal, to work towards being that person. So that's exactly what you have to do for your goals, okay? When I became a mindset coach over a year ago now, when I actually decided to become a coach, I had a good understanding of what it would take for me. And the reason I knew exactly what it would take is because I let myself experience things, and then as I experienced things, I started to recognize, oh, I have fear in this area. So that means that my goal requires me to overcome this, or my goal requires me to be able to speak confidently, right? And there's times where I don't feel confident. There's times where I feel like an imposter, but I know that my goal of being a successful coach, of being a thought leader, like, my goal requires me to feel weird and do it anyways. It requires me to feel anxiety and still take action anyways, because I know what I want to do in this world. And this is the process of becoming that person. Like, I have to be willing to feel all kinds of uncomfortable feelings. And for most of us, like, that's what your goals require. It requires you to feel very uncomfortable, to get out of your comfort zone. And not a lot of people are willing to do that, right? And that's why you will talk to a lot of people who will tell you what their dreams are. They'll dream big, they'll imagine with you all day, right? But then you look at their life and you look at their actual actions, and it is not in alignment with the big life they say they want, right? With the financial freedom that they say they want, with the time freedom, with the support that they claim they want to have and give to their family one day. Their actions are just not in alignment with that. And that's a lot of people, right? A lot of people feel as if, like, their biggest dreams are fairy tales, and they talk about them like they are. Like, people that say things like, if things were different, or if I could just, or if I had enough, or if this were in place, or if I had that. Like those types of people aren't the types of people that are going to be successful, because they are giving the power to something outside of themselves. They are thinking that if this was perfect, then this reality could happen, instead of thinking, if I change into this person, then this reality that I want is 100% doable. It's 100% inevitable, right? It's something that you have the ability to create. So if I were you and I knew I had a big goal, and you just want to make sure that what you're doing, like the micro habits that you have, the little things that you do every day, you want to make sure that those little things are actually taking you toward the goal, okay? So first things first is to get clear on what it is your goal is. Like, what do you want to work toward? Maybe you just want to create a life that feels or looks a certain way. Now, I always say, of course, it matters more what your life feels like rather than what it looks like, right? So, most of us want happiness. So, when you think about a life 5 years from now that would make you feel happy, like what do you think that looks like? Who would you have to become? What career would you be working? What type of friends would you have? Now, I know that's a lot to think about, but I'm saying all that because not everyone is very clear on like what goal they have for their life. So, these are just things that you can think about if you're just not 100% sure. Even if you don't know exactly what you want to do with your life, I know for a fact that you know how you want to feel. You know you want to feel good. You probably want to feel financially stable. You probably want to feel abundant, right? You want to feel loved. You want to feel fulfilled. Okay, so then you just have to, if that's your goal, then you just have to reverse engineer it and think about, well, what type of person do I have to become to experience this, right? What type of person do I have to become to experience abundance, right? To think about solutions, to get ideas for businesses. Like, what type of person do I have to become in order to accomplish these goals that I have? So once you're clear and you know exactly what the goal is or what your dream life looks like, then you know exactly who you are required to be. For example, I already told you, once I knew that I for sure had a goal of becoming a successful mindset coach and motivational speaker, like I immediately knew who I had to become because I understand what that goal requires of me. And even if you're not 100% sure what that goal requires of you, you just have to start somewhere. Start with the smallest thing. And as you experience life, as you are just naturally progressing towards the goal, you're going to unlock parts of yourself that need to grow, parts of yourself that feel insecure. And all of those things are going to be telling you like, hey, this is what you need to work on to get to the goal that you have. Like these are the things that are required of you. So I already gave you an example, like if you want to be an entrepreneur, what that might require of you. You have to be someone who thinks of solutions more than you do problems. You have to be someone who is willing to start over and try again and again. You have to be someone who is willing to be seen trying and failing. You have to be someone who is willing to be the only one who believes in the thing that you want to do. So that is what that entrepreneurial goal would require of you. Let's say you want to be an artist. What does that require of you? Like, I'm not an artist, but just off the top of my head, I feel like if you want to be an artist, you have to be able to stand behind your art no matter what. You have to be able to see the beauty in it even when nobody else does, right? You have to have faith in what you're creating, that there's somebody out there who's going to interpret it in a way that's going to be better than you can even imagine, right? That's your responsibility as an artist. As an artist, to your art, you have to build, I'm sure, a lot of confidence, right? Because you have to stand in rooms and hope that people like what you create. But these are all the things that it requires to be an artist. Like that is the mindset work that you need to lay, the groundwork that you have to lay in order to be successful, right? And happy, because that's what matters too, being happy. Another example is, let's say you want to be a content creator. If you want to create content, I'm sure you have to be someone who is, yes, confident. You have to be someone who knows yourself, or at least is willing to get to learn who you really are, because authenticity is always going to win, right? And as a content creator, you want that because that's what's going to attract. That's what's going to attract the people who are your people, right? Your tribe. So things like that is going to require courage. It's going to require resilience. It's going to require you to build, just different skill sets to learn how to grow a brand on social media. So, depending on what your goal is, that's going to determine what is required of you, like the mindset work that is required of you. But honestly, there's universal mindset work that everybody needs to do regardless of what you choose to do, such as believing in a higher power, believing in your ability to create the reality that you want, being resilient, being courageous. Like all those things are traits that you can take with you anywhere. But it just really, really helps when you look at your goal and you're able to just extract exactly what that goal requires you to be. So make sure you're clear on the goal. Write down exactly what you think that goal requires from you, the type of person that you see already living that life. Like, if, that's another thing. You can look at role models. Who do you see already living this life? Who already created the goal or achieved the result that you want? Because if you look at their mindset, you just have to mimic that, right? You just have to mimic exactly the type of person that they became in order to achieve that result. So, like I said, after you know the goal, you know what you need to do, the next thing is you need to sit down and really look at, okay, if these are the things that my goal require from me, how much different is that from the person that I'm being right now, right? So if you're someone who lacks confidence, is insecure, you don't like taking risks, it's going to be really, really hard for you to become an entrepreneur in the beginning, because that's the foundation. Like those are things that you need, right? And you don't have to let the distance in between who you are and who you want to be scare you, right? Because that's where life happens, right? You're always going to have, like, there's always going to be a higher version of yourself that you can elevate to, right? And life happens in between where you are and where you want to be, or who you are and who you want to be. So don't feel like you have to rush that, right? Because that is the process of becoming right there. That is the time where you get to learn, where you get to learn how to be courageous, where you get to be more confident. You get to practice being that person every day until it's not something that you're practicing anymore. It's just who you are. When you wake up and then you realize that you don't have to think so hard about being that way anymore, it's just a part of who you are. And all that it really takes now is just a reminder, because that's something else. Like, even when you are predominantly that confident person, even when you really step into that different higher version of yourself, there's still going to be times where you step back and you forget who you are. Like that too is a part of the process, right? And if you learn to manage your mind, like all of this will become normal. Like having days where you believe in yourself and days where you don't is normal. Having days where you think this is a good idea and then the next day you think it's the worst idea you ever came, like that's normal. That happens. But when you learn to manage your mind, you don't make it a big deal, right? And that's what separates the people that succeed from the people that don't. And something else I want you to remember is that when you set an intention for a goal, right? Or when you put out something into the universe, like this is the life I want, like this is exactly how I can see myself working, living, this is the type of family I would like to have. Like when you put all those dreams out there, like 100%, all of that can be created by you. The universe is on your side so much that when you ask, immediately, like the tests that are going to help you become the type of person who can have all those things, like those tests start immediately, right? You just have to be the type of person to see how everything that comes up is just the way the universe is going to forge you into the person that you need to be, right? Like I said, it's all about who you become in the process. And the only way you become someone who is abundant, the only way you become someone who's confident, who is courageous, who doesn't have so many insecurities, the only way you become that type of person is by going through experiences where you have to exercise that muscle in your brain, right? So you have to have experiences where you feel set back so that you can practice resilience. You have to have those experiences where you feel less than, right? Where you're around people who have bigger personalities than you, because that's your opportunity to learn how to be confident no matter who's around. It's your opportunity to learn that you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else's light, because you have your own, right? And that is what those experiences are there for. It's there to help you become the person who can have the result that you want. Okay, we can even break it down as simple as a workout goal. When you say I want to be healthy, I want to be fit, and then all of a sudden everybody's inviting you out to eat, everybody's trying to buy you desserts, everybody's trying to do just all these unhealthy things, like those, first of all, your goal of wanting to work out consistently, wanting to be healthy, wanting to be fit, the type of person that requires you to be, first and foremost, is a disciplined person. Okay, so every time you are invited out somewhere that goes against the goal that you have, and you have the opportunity to practice your discipline by saying no. Like that is how you become disciplined, is that you have to say no today, then you have to say no tomorrow, no the next day, and eventually you will become such a disciplined person that when it doesn't align with your goal of being healthy, of being fit, you're just not going to do it, right? But that takes practice. But if that is the goal you have and you want it bad enough, then you have to be willing to sacrifice that. You have to be willing to sacrifice the comfort zone of doing what you've always done. You have to question your brain whenever it's trying to slide back into that comfort zone, because guess what? That's the most comfortable place for you to be in, right? That's where your excuses live. That's where the chaos that you've become comfortable with is. Like, that's where everybody that you know that isn't doing anything, like that's where your comfort lives. But everything else, like all of those dreams and the goals that you say you have, the big things that you say you want to do for your life, for your family, all of that exists outside of your comfort zone. It's just not going to exist on the same street. Okay, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. You have to be willing to become the person that your goal is calling you out to be, right? So every time a challenge comes up, choose to see how it's directly in correlation with your dream. Choose to see how, damn, you know what? I did say that I wanted to do this. So I can see how this is probably happening for me. I can see why I have to practice this skill, because where I'm going, I'm going to need this confidence. I'm going to need this courage, right? So choose to see everything that you go through as an opportunity to learn and to grow, because nobody is out to get you. There's no force in this world that is evil enough that's really working against you. Like, I don't believe that. I feel like you are in control, not total control, because God got you, the universe got you, your spirit guides got you. Like, whatever it is you believe in, there is for sure an unseen power that is always assisting you. It's just not always assisting you in the way that you want to be assisted, right? But I promise you, in hindsight, when you look back, everything that you're going to go through to get to this destination, to the dream, to the goal, to the achieved result, you're going to be able to look back one day and see how all of it had to happen. Like, this has to happen in order for that to happen. Okay, you can't see it now, but I promise you, if you give it a few years, eventually you will. Okay, that is it for today. I hope this was helpful. I hope you bloomed, because I know I did, and I will see you on the next one.